Boys and girls, whenever you're ready to start a drawing of a portrait, what you need to think about first is what shapes you need to use and how big do you need to make those shapes. So one of the reasons why I chose to use a photograph is because it's really easy for me to take a photograph about this size, which is the same size as a full sheet of printer paper, and transfer the size of it over onto my paper right here, because I can look at it and say, okay, my son's head is about that big. So then I know when I draw it over here on this paper, I need to make it about that big. Same thing with the kitty cat face. I can see that the kitty cat face is about this big, and then I can transfer it over here and say, okay, that's about the same size. It helps you get things to be the right size and the right place on the paper. And then looking at shapes, we talked about earlier how the shape of a human head is kind of like an egg shape and kind of like an oval where it's curved at the top. So I just really lightly sketch back and forth the curve at the top. And then the sides are a little bit straighter. And then the jaw comes in very slightly and the chin is sort of flat at the bottom. After you get the basic shape of the head, then you have to think about where do the eyes, where do the nose, and where does the mouth go? Well, we've talked about many times how the eyes are about halfway down. And if you have a photograph, you can use that to look and check and say, okay, yep, my eyes are about halfway down on my head, so I know where to put them in my drawing. So then sometimes I'll draw a really light line down the middle just to make sure that I get the eyes kind of spaced evenly apart, and then I'll draw a really light line so it kind of looks like a T, but I have to do it really lightly because I'm gonna erase this when I'm done. Then everybody pretty much knows that a human eye has many parts to it. You have the iris, which is the colored part. You have the pupil, which is the black dot in the center. But then you have the upper eyelid and the lower eyelid. The upper eyelid goes right over top of that circle, like this, so you really don't see the whole circle. The very top of the circle you can just erase, like that. And then the lower eyelid goes right underneath that circle. And sometimes people find this shape a little bit tricky to draw, so I always tell boys and girls to practice maybe on another sheet of paper first, just making a circle for the iris and a nice dot for the center for the pupil, and then to draw a curved line that goes up and over that circle, and then right another curved line right underneath. That's one way to start learning how to make a human eye. So once I practice that a couple of times and I feel like I've got the right idea, I can go draw it in my drawing. And I try to just guess what I think would make sense for the right size. And I try to make them both the same. Now I can take a look and say, okay, well, this one is a little bit smaller than the other one. I can go back and fix it. I'm drawing a little bit dark right now because I want you guys to be able to see it. So when you do it, you might want to press a bit lighter so that you can go back and make changes. But after I make the pupil, then I go back and draw that curved line right over the top of my iris, just like that. That's the top lid. I can erase the top of that circle now because I don't need that there. And then go back and draw the curved line right underneath for my bottom eyelid. Now all of you know that human eyes, they also have eyelashes and eyebrows. What a lot of kids say to me is, Mrs. Kelly, oh, boys don't have eyelashes like girls, but in fact they do. They just don't put makeup on their eyelashes usually. Sometimes they do, but not that often. So boys do have eyelashes just like girls, and the eyelashes grow up and curved out kind of like that. So I'm gonna add some just small little curved eyelashes on the end, just like that. And then the eyebrow grows in a curve about a 1 finger space over the eye. So the eyebrow also, I like to use a zigzag line or a furry line, sometimes as I call it, because it kind of looks like fur, which makes sense because it's human hair. Now Patrick, in his photograph and in real life, he has really, really, really long hair. So his hair covers most of his eyebrows, but I'm gonna show you where they would be if they weren't covered all the way, just like that. And I try to make them about the same size and the same shape on both sides. Sometimes it's a little tricky to make it symmetrical where it's the same on both sides. Just takes a little bit of practice. Now those eyes aren't perfect, but I don't want to take a long time right now to mess with them because I want to show you how to do the nose really quick. The nose is one of the trickiest things to do on the face. If you take a look at the one that I already did right here, you see you have the bridge of the nose, which is the long part that goes down, and then you have the little part on the top, which sometimes people call the ball of the nose. That's really, really hard to do with line. Usually you don't show the tip top of the nose until you color it. So pretty much all we're gonna draw right now is the end part of the nose down here. So if I take where the space where my eyes are and I drop down halfway between where my eyes and my chin is, that's right about where my nose is gonna go, right there. My nose kind of sits on that line, so it's halfway between the eyes and the chin. And to do the nose, I'm gonna start with a little bit of a U shape, like this. Not too big, not too small. Sometimes boys and girls like to make it really big and then it makes the nose look nice and wide. Everybody's nose is a little bit different. Sometimes people have more of a V shape right here, like this. Sometimes it's a little bit more curved, like I showed you. Sometimes it's wider, sometimes it's narrower. You really have to look at the picture of the person you're drawing or the face of the person you're drawing and try to guess how big or wide you think you should make it. And then the other lines we use to make are for the sides of the nose. So I do that by drawing a curved line down on one side and a curved line down facing the opposite way on the other side. That just shows a really easy way to make two sides of the nose. Now again, that's not perfect. I can go back and make changes later, but if you want to practice somewhere on your paper first, that's a good thing to do. So if I just draw a little curved shape here, and I say, okay, I can attach it. Another curved line facing in, kind of looks like a forwards facing C, and kind of like a backwards facing C or J. Sometimes I like to use letters to help people think about what shapes they should make those. And then the mouth is a little bit of a space below. It's about a finger space below in real life, under your nose. And the top of the lip, if you're smiling, kind of dips down just a little bit, like a little teeny tiny baby V. And then the other sides of the mouth curve up just slightly when you're smiling. Now, if your person that you're drawing has their mouth open, you can make another curved line like this to make the bottom of that top lip, and then draw another line below it to show their mouth open. And that's the space where maybe their teeth might be, right here. I know right now it kind of looks like I'm drawing on their bottom lip, but you'll see in a second. When I add my final line on the bottom, that's where the bottom lip goes, right there. So you have a really small V for the top, two lines that curve up just a little bit because the person's smiling, a curved line right there at the bottom of that top lip, teeth in the middle, and then another curved line right here for the bottom of the bottom lip. And again, a good thing to try is to just practice different kinds of mouths. Like if you want an open mouth or a closed mouth, another way to make a mouth is to draw that center line first. This is maybe what a closed mouth would look like with a curved line underneath for the bottom lip and that little dip in the middle that goes down and attaches to the corners like that. That's an example of how you might draw lips. Now people say, well, Mrs. Kelly, boys' lips don't look like that. But the thing is they do, because humans pretty much have lips that are similar, whether they're a boy or a girl. It doesn't really matter. Your lips are similar. Some people have thicker top lips, some people have thinner top lips or bottom lips, and you can adjust it. Like if I wanted to make that top lip a little bit thinner, all I would do is make that little U shape I did closer to my middle line. If the person has a thinner top lip, and then if I wanted my bottom lip thicker, I could make that come down like that. Or I could say, oh, that's too wide, I don't like that. The person in real life doesn't have a bottom lip that thick. Maybe they just have thin lips. I can make it thinner just by moving that line closer to my center line for my lips. So you can practice your lips maybe somewhere on your paper or on the back, and then get them till you think they're just pretty good, and then you can move on to doing the hair. Now my son, you can't see his ears, but if you could, the ears would be right out from where the eyes are. So right about here, going up to the bottom of where the nose is. So up and around, back in, boop, just like that. Doesn't look like I drew them exactly the same size, but that's pretty good. If you could see his ears, that's where they would be. And then you have to think about the size and shape of the hair. Well, Patrick has a lot of long strands that come way down over his eyebrows. And I'm not just gonna color that in with my pencil, I'm gonna instead draw the texture of his hair. A lot of times a person doesn't even really look like a good portrait of them until after you draw the hair. The hair can really be the thing that sets apart their personality and their style. So this is what I wanted to show you today, boys and girls. And the same thing applies for doing a pet portrait. You're gonna have the eyes about halfway down on the head on the pet, and then the nose about halfway, and then usually with pets, the mouth is almost right underneath the nose. So you, depending upon the kind of pet that you have, the face actually forms kind of a triangle shape, with the eyes being the bottom of the triangle and the nose being the tip of the triangle where the mouth should be. You just have to think about what kind of ears your pet has. Do they have pointy ears like a cat? Do they have flappy ears like a dog? Can you see their paws? Do you want to add the paws? Or maybe you have a pet bird and you're going to draw a pet bird on your shoulder. That's great too. So I hope you have fun enjoying this today, learning how to make people that you love and pets that you love, and having fun doing it. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.